So, Sir Duncan the Tall. How good a knight are you?
You'll see. It's this way. You came for the tourney?
Journey is a contest for knights. You a knight?
I'm no farmer.
Yet you've come dressed as one.
Sir, I could squire for you. And you could teach me. Every knight needs a squire. And you look like you need one more than most.
Sir Ireland raised me to be a true knight. Not with sword or lance, but with honor. And I swore that I would.
What's this? It's a hedge knight, ain't it? What? It's like a knight, but sadder.
We're not sad. If I could call myself a champion, some great house might take me into its service. Perhaps even House Targaryen.
And tyrants.
Sir Duncan the Tall. Arion would like your head.
Maybe the gods figure this is what I deserve.
Come on, little knight.
And so, I ask you again, how good a knight are you?
You may be wise to run.
Don't they kill me if I run?
Want to kill you anyway.
As honor deserted the noble houses of Westeros! And there are no true knights among you! Was that ill-handled? Right, yeah.
Here we go.
1 week, 6 days, baby.
That's right.
6 days.
Less than a week.
Yep. What's up, everyone? What's up, Debbie? How you doing? Everyone, all the lurkers in the chat. I hope everyone's having a great night. It is Monday. We are 6 days away from the release of the latest show in HBO's Westeros universe, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Kings, we hit it off. We were talking. We did a show about House of the Dragon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's when Kings and I got tight because he was just spitting out the knowledge, spitting out the facts, coming with it with all this Westerosi stuff. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like this guy because I can bounce some stuff off of him. Yeah. So when they pushed this and started teasing this, he and I were like, okay, we're talking about it. We got to do something. But I don't know anything about this show. When I told him that, he was like, I thought he was going to fire me already because I don't know anything about this. So I knew about, well, let me say this. Let me back way up. When Game of Thrones came out, I didn't know anything about that, but I heard all the hype. Mm-hmm. So I was a little late to the party. And I'll tell you this quick story. So I started during the second season. So I went back and I watched the first season and I almost quit. I almost said this show's garbage. I don't want to watch anymore because after they beheaded, can we say that? We can say that, right?
Yeah, it's been like a decade and a half now.
Oh, I meant the YouTube word. I don't want to.
Oh, yeah, no. I think the only things you can't really say are the ones we know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what they did to Ned Stark, because I was such a fan of his, I loved his character.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how Sean Bean portrayed him. I was like, man, I want him on the throne. Let's go. And then they took his head. And I was like, I'm done. I don't want to watch this show anymore. I quit. Game of Thrones is trash. It's sorry. They kill all the best characters. I don't want anything to do with it, but I stayed with it, and it turned into, except for season 8, of course, but it turned into this great show. And then Then they brought out House of the Dragons. But while Game of Thrones was going on, I started going nuts. I was reading the books. I was flipping through, going through all the stuff, looking at any little tidbit I can get, and then got into the House of Dragon when they released that. I was looking through all the stuff. But then HBO said, we're going to do a Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hit the pause button. I want to have the same impact because it's going to be a short story. It's just a quick run. But I want the same kind of impact that seeing Game of Thrones the first time had. I didn't want any spoilers. I know a couple things because they did reference a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, these characters in Game of Thrones, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I said, I'm going to go into this kind of blind. When I told Kings, he seemed so disappointed. He's like, really? Oh, how are we going to talk about stuff? Like, no, you're going to come from the knowledge of all the books. I'm going to come from first time seeing it. So I think it's going to be.
Well, it's a cool dynamic now because, you know, you're going to kind of be able to sit there and judge this based on the story that Ira Parker tells instead of me judging it on Ira Parker telling George R. R. Martin's story. So let me kind of give a little background on me and Game of Thrones real quick. So I've said this before, but you know, I was not a Game of Thrones guy. In fact, it wasn't until season 7 that I started watching it. But I made a deal with a friend of mine because I was really into The Last Kingdom back in 2017, I think. And he said, I told him, you know what? If you watch the first episode of The Last Kingdom, I will watch the first episode of Game of Thrones. And he was like, deal. We got a deal. Let's go. So I told him, we're going to watch the first episode of Last Kingdom first. So we watched it. He goes, you know, it's interesting. I don't really think I'm into it, but let's move on to Game of Thrones. About 30 minutes in, I had already bought the theme song on my phone and started watching it. So we started the day episode 4 of season 7 came out. That's Sunday. That's the one where the Dothraki and Dany attack the Lannister troops. And
yeah.
And I was caught up and ready to go Thursday.
Dude, that's power watching right there, man.
Called out of work on Tuesday.
Wow.
So we were caught up and ready to go. This I love this world. It's such an awesome world. And every single time they announce another thing that they're going to be doing, it kind of makes me giddy because we don't get enough swords.
Yeah.
There's not enough entertainment out there with men fighting with swords. And I feel like this kind of harkens back to a era where men were men and they were allowed to be men. And, you know, some of that's going to end up making you make dumb decisions. Sometimes we get, you know, we can't see the, what's the phrase? We can't see the thing for the thing. You know what I'm talking about? That we get so blinded by seeing one thing going after one goal or revenge or something like that we can't see all the other stuff coming our way.
Yeah.
And that's, you know what? At the end of the day, that's just kind of part of being a guy.
And not just swords, but English accents.
Yes.
You got to have that.
They're so good. Thank you, Matthew. And yes, I can't see the forest for the trees.
Okay,
now, I'm so focused on these particular trees, I can't see that there's all these other trees everywhere else.
I never heard that saying before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's I like it.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with this.
Okay, so the trailer for me was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
There's bunch of characters there that I've heard of, right?
Yeah.
I know Duncan Egg, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And it's definitely gives me that Westeros-y that feel.
It looks really
the settings
good.
are great, right? Yeah, the sets are good. I'm pumped for it. I don't know what we're gonna see, but I do know what happens to Egg. I know what happens to some of these characters. Again, I don't know how much you want to get into just yet, but for me it was exciting. I hear the music, I hear a little bit of the theme song.
Yeah, you had a little bit. Now for the bad news.
I mean, if Ramin Djawadi's not doing it,
Ramin Djawadi is not doing the theme song for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. They are not using the they're not using it.
Okay. All right. I'm still.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
That's disappointing, right?
Yeah. If you went ahead and used it for Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I feel like, look, that's your theme song. That is Westeros' song. Just use it for everything. We all want to hear it.
I mean, he has crafted so much. They're iconic themes. Like every house has a theme.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's iconic. It's recognizable. You know who. All right. If you hear the song, you know that this is going to be a bit of the story about the Stark family, right?
It's like in that first episode, season 2, where they took us back to Winterfell for a second.
Yeah,
that the second it went to not just snow, but the music came on, you were like, "Oh, yes, we're back!"
You know you're in Winterfell when you hear that song, right? You know you're with the Lannisters when you hear "Reigns of Castamere," right? I mean, he's done this music that's so incredible throughout the whole Game of Thrones story through HBO. How do you not use him? I think that's a mistake out of the gate. I think that's a mistake.
Yep. So Ira Parker, and I should have pulled this up earlier. He talked about this on not using. How do you spell his name?
I can pronounce it. I can't spell it.
Okay, can you pronounce it?
Ramin Djawadi. It's like Ramijn or something like that.
My first result is the Jewish bishop in the Chinese Bible. I don't think that's it. I do not think that is gonna tell me what I want to know. So they talked about not using it, and I don't necessarily remember what their main point was, but it had something to do with this is kind of a small story. This doesn't while so many parts and facets of it interact and end up touching Game of Thrones 100 years later, because remember, this is 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones.
So yeah, I did know about that. It's based obviously because, all right, so this isn't a spoiler, but in the original Game of Thrones, I don't remember which season 4 maybe, Aemon Targaryen, who is at the wall, he spoke about his brother Egg.
Yeah, so he there's a couple times that Aemon speaks about his family. Yeah, the first probably might be the most memorable is when he tells Jon to kill the boy, and he talks about being old when the ravens brought the bad news about what was happening to his family. But yeah, I actually think it was about season 5 when he is dying. Basically, he's on his deathbed, and didn't
he go into
he's crying out.
He started talking to somebody. He's like,
he's crying out for Egg. Because Egg was his brother. So I don't know if because I forgot to pull it up. I don't know if you have one available, but the Targaryen family tree is, and this is one of those things that you kind of need when you're watching Game of Thrones.
I have I have Ramin Djawadi spelling if you want that, but so family tree. I hope this is okay to do. I cannot go through Game of Thrones without maybe backwards, but I cannot go through it without this book.
Yeah, Martin's The World of Ice and Fire.
Of Ice and Fire, and I go right to, if it comes through the camera, this is like a family tree, and it does this for each house. So this is the Targaryens, and it's all the way back. So yeah, I have this as a reference just in case I have questions, because there's so many characters and there's so many people to follow, and it's so hard to keep up. And the Targaryens, of course, they're all inbreds, and it's crazy.
So this is where we're looking at for for Night of the Seven Kingdoms. These are the Targaryens that we're looking at. This group right here. I don't think my mouse is. Oh, that is wrong. Right here. So you've got Prince Darren.
Yeah.
He is the heir apparent. Prince Arian is the. I hope I got that right. Yeah, I think I got that right. Prince Arian is the is kind of the, let's say, antagonist. He's the one with the short hair, who's kind of a, what's a nice way of saying that? Dick.
Okay.
And then Aemon. Now, I'll tell you, I hope we get to see a young Aemon.
That's what I was going to ask you. Since this is only like 90 to 100 years before Game of Thrones, are we going to see any of the characters that we've come to know in the original Game of Thrones series?
So, Egg is the youngest.
Right.
So we will see if they put Aemon in it, we will see Aemon.
Okay. There's
I
one.
Don't remember. Yeah, I do not remember if Aemon is actually. I think he's just mentioned in the first book or the first story. But because he doesn't decide to join the Citadel until I think after Ashford Meadows. I'm gonna have to look up some of those timelines. But this obviously Aegon right here. This is Egg. It's kind of a spoiler alert, but if you knew anything about it, you already knew that Egg ends up being King Aegon the fifth, I believe. Fifth.
Yeah. So that brings me to a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this will come out in the show or but Prince Aemon was older than Egg.
Yeah.
So why didn't the throne fall to Prince Aemon, or did he give up his rights before everything fell to Aegon?
He decided to join the Citadel, and he went to become a maester.
And all this happened before, or was he presented with the throne and he said, "No, I don't want it. I'm going to the Citadel"? Because that's something I don't know. I was very curious about when I realized Egg becomes king. And then I did look into the kind of king he was, and that was kind of awesome, which we can get into later.
So Aemon was.
But what happened to Aemon?
Yeah, so Aemon was already a maester when Darian and Arian die.
Okay.
So we actually may not see him at all because he, if my math is right, he should be at the Citadel, getting his chains.
The Citadel
at this time. Yeah.
Oh my.
But I mean, that would be. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to hear a name drop, and I would expect to hear that Ira Parker will throw in a couple of Game of Thrones little Easter eggs and stuff like that. That would honestly, that would be a smart thing to do, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, I would like to see casting done. Don't just mention them. Show me.
Yeah.
I mean, they did Ned Stark, right? Mm-hmm. In Game of Thrones. They went back when Bran was going through his right? So they recasted Ned Stark, and that worked out. Why can't they show? I don't quite know when this falls in line, but I know what happens to the Stark family, right? The dad and his brother.
Yeah, so that is Aerys.
That's after Aegon, right?
Yeah, so you're looking at.
So are we going to see Aegon take the throne? I guess maybe that's my question.
Not in this show. Not in this show.
Okay.
Or at least not in this season. So what we have with Game of Thrones, or with this story, this novella of Dunk and Egg, is we've got 3 stories that take us through 2 years. I think Egg doesn't end up being much older than he is right now at the end of the third story. But the original plan that George R.R. Martin told everyone like 3 years ago was to finish Winds of Winter sometime, and then release the last 2 Duncan Egg stories he had, Blood and Fire, which is the sequel to Fire and Blood, and then A Dream of Spring. He came out today and said that he's come up with ideas and written 12 other Dunk and Egg stories. Now, the thing that's kind of annoying about that is there's really only one big mystery regarding this era, these 20, 30 years of Westeros. And it's what happens at Summerhall. So at the end of the story, I can already tell you the very last story will end at Summerhall. There's a massive fire and people die. And
you have to have that.
In fact, I believe Summerhall is left in ruins and never raised again because they believe it's cursed. And Egg is supposed to have basically tried to find magic to bring the dragons back.
So the dragons are pretty much gone at this point.
Yes, so there are no dragons left. And this is what this is going to be the deciding factor on the future of the stories that we get in Westeros, is this show. This will be the only show without dragons.
Is it possible that somehow we see Egg and he's tied to the 3 eggs that are given to Daenerys?
No. So there are questions about those eggs. I think a lot of people believe those eggs were stolen by Alicent and bartered. I think it was Alicent and bartered for safe travel. Is it Alicent? So Fire and
jumping
Blood.
Back to House of Dragons?
So Fire and Blood shows that there is someone that steals 3 eggs.
So they steal
and those are the 3 that are supposed to be, according to a lot of people, are supposed to be Dany's dragons.
Interesting.
But as far as I know, there's no actual confirmation from George that those are the 3 eggs.
Interesting.
And of course, we still have to find out whether or not there's a clutch up at Winterfell. But that's a whole nother story. But this show and its success. What's up, KC? Nice to see you in the chat.
See you in the chat there.
This show is going to be the very first Westeros production without dragons. It's also a much smaller production.
I'm okay with that because I think they're going to reference or at least talk about the dragons. They're Targaryens.
So,
now, I do have a question about Egg since he is a Targaryen. He's got no hair. Like, what is going? Where's the blonde?
So he shaves. He shaves his hair.
He's not born with a condition.
No, he doesn't.
We're not talking alopecia. We're talking like I don't want.
He
that
does
hair.
not want peep. He wants to be able to walk around and be normal.
Okay.
So he shaves his head.
That's normal. A big bald head as a kid. Perfectly normal. Perfectly normal.
So this story takes place, or this season is going to take place in Ashford. And if you're not sure where that is, we have a
can you pull
lovely map here, and I will put the link in the chat. But it's called quartermaster.info. That's the link, and I'll put it here in the chat. But this is an interactive map of Westeros and the surrounding land. So you got Essos over here. You got the Red Waste, which is where the end of season 1 for Daenerys takes place. And what this does is it actually takes you through most of the main characters or most of the POVs locations throughout different points in the story.
That's beautiful.
So it goes all the way through a couple of released chapters of The Winds of Winter, but then it also goes through season 6, episode 5 of the show. But what I like to use it for is it also shows the nobilities and
that's cool.
The kingdoms. So we are going to be down here.
And that's all the houses and the sigils?
Yep.
That's awesome.
We're going to be down here in Ashford. And this is where the tournament of Ashford Meadows takes place. They are a subservient house to Yes, High Garden. Sorry, I had to do that. I had to make sure that was right. No, is that right?
I don't know.
When does House Tyrell take it over by then? Because they weren't always in charge of the Reach.
We're gonna find out.
Um,
Hopefully in this show. Is it so? Are they gonna stay in one area? Are we gonna jump
yes,
around?
This entire show. Well,
so we may not make it to Winterfell. This
oh
short
no,
run.
not at all. In fact, I don't think there's a story of Dunk and Egg in Winterfell. We will not hear. In fact, there are no Starks in this show.
They're not even gonna pass through for
Nope.
some reason.
The Starks don't go to tourneys for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Lannisters? I mean, are we gonna?
So what we have
gotta run
so
into
far-
somebody.
What we have so far is we've got a whole bunch of Baratheons, a whole bunch of Targaryens, and a whole bunch of Fossaways. I don't remember, and I'm actually rereading the story as we speak. Probably about half hour in. So there's really only another 2 hours left. It's a very quick story. That's why this show is 6 episodes. They're all just over half an hour long. But we're going to see probably some of the best action we've seen on television in years.
Combat stuff.
Mm-hmm. And what I've ever since I read this book, what I've been saying is I cannot wait to see Ashford Meadows on the TV screen. Because that's what you saw there in the trailer with all the knights charging. That's the Trial of the Seven. I won't explain. I won't tell y'all why there's a Trial of the Seven, but there is a Trial of the Seven, and obviously, if you're intelligent, you figure out that Dunk is in that Trial of the Seven. But it is
if you're intelligent.
Yeah, well,
I missed that one. Sorry.
Why would there be a Trial of the Seven without the main character in it?
Egg.
Maybe there is. But the whole thing, they've been working on this just over a year now, or a year and a half, I believe. I think they started filming this time last year.
Yeah, I think that's
right. We had originally thought that we were going to get this in, like Q3 of last year. And then they told us, no, it's going to be, January of 26, which was really upsetting not to get any Westeros last year.
Yeah.
But we get two Westeros shows this year, man.
Yeah, I'm really pumped. I'm looking forward to this short run, right? It's just I'm very interested in how this plays out, because Egg, again, Aemon's younger brother, he becomes king, and he actually is, what's the saying? When a Targaryen is born, you flip a coin to see if they're going to go nuts or be like one of the most beautiful people on the planet.
Yep. And he's genuinely probably the best Targaryen king.
Yeah, well, Egg was like the best.
Maybe second best. Jaehaerys, it's hard to beat. Honestly, it's hard to beat Jaehaerys and Viserys.
Yeah.
They're both really good kings. But they also had the power of having dragons.
Right.
Egg manages to be a really good king with zero actual threat power.
The tidbits I got is that he was really a man of the people. He wanted everyone to be healthy, to be fed, to be prosperous, and he reigned however long it was. I don't think it was that long, but that's what his push was. And Dunk, tell me if I'm way off base. I saw a tidbit, I don't think I'm spoiling anything, that Brienne is
a descendant.
Brienne
of Tarth is a descendant of Dunk the Egg. Sorry, Dunk the Tall.
Dunk the Tall.
Yeah.
Dunk the Egg.
Yep, she is a descendant.
Is that confirmed? I didn't get confirmation.
Yeah.
I just heard people were speculating.
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. I
mean, when you say descendant, grandfather? I mean, we're only talking about 90 years.
Yeah. Martin confirmed the lineage at Balticon in 2016. Grandfather or great grandfather? I think it really depends on how old Brienne is. But if Brienne, I think she's only in her early 30s in the book. So it's probably great grandfather. And I mean, seeing as how Dunk becomes Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, which we find out in Game of Thrones, where when Joffrey's going through the Book of Brothers, he points out Arthur Dane, Sir Dunk the Tall, and then laughs at, I think, one thing that's written for Jaime.
Yeah.
He becomes a member of the Kingsguard. The Kingsguard is supposed to have no children.
So she, what do you call a bastard? Like,
yeah. So whoever he has a child with somebody.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the kind of stuff that when we talk lore and Game of Thrones is so it's just massive.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the connections and the ties. I love the little references. Even before they even knew they were going to do House of Dragon, they're referring back to Rhaenyra, and Duncan, and all this stuff, and Egg. And now we get to start seeing the tie. I love that kind of stuff. That I get jazzed
and
about that.
Sundowners is another addict, another Westeros addict. Duncan was born around 197 after the conquest, and Brienne was born about 280. So yeah, Brienne's about 25 because I think it's 300 years after the conquest that Robert's Rebellion happens, I think. No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have those facts. That's a lot.
So yeah, so she's probably in the book. She'd probably be about 25 because there's a huge break in the books between, I think, book 2 and 3. It's supposed to like 5 years in between these books. The show, there was obviously a lot less of a time break, but yeah, so she's probably about 25 towards the end of what George has actually written.
So just a question for the chat. I'm tracking 11 of you in here. Are you excited for this show? And do you have a favorite Game of Thrones? Doesn't matter where it's from, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, whatever season. Do you have a favorite moment that was just the wow, that gave you that wow factor? I've got a few.
Let's hear them.
But one, the shocking thing, positive or negative, the one that kicked it off for me was Ned Stark.
Yeah.
The other that left me short of breath, where I'm like, man, I gotta pause this for a minute, was the Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
The way they filmed that and did that was I thought was so incredible. And I was on the edge of my seat. Like, how in the world is he going to get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were killing off so many characters, the Red Wedding and all. I'm like, he's done. Everybody you like, they're gone. So this is it for John.
So the Red Wedding was mine because I had already seen Ned die. My brother was in the show a lot sooner than I was. I think he'd read most of the books. And so I was walking through our living room one day and I saw the sword land and kill Ned. So I already knew that would happen. But the thing that was really funny was I was scrolling through, Facebook this a decade ago now, and I watched Joffrey die in a video. And then I thought that was the Red Wedding because I knew it was a wedding. And so I was sitting there. There's this old TV show over on TBS, probably about 15 years old now, called Men at Work. Dave Masterson's in it, unfortunately. and he there's this guy in the office, is they're writers at some magazine, and there's this writer in the office who the new boss doesn't like, and so the accountant basically says, well, he likes Game of Thrones, why don't you watch Game of Thrones? And so he decides to watch all the previously on parts to thinking he'll know what it's about. And so the guy goes, well, what do you think of the Red Wedding? He goes, oh, it's beautiful. What do you mean? It was a bloodbath. And so I thought that those were the two same things. I didn't know the term purple wedding yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sitting there going, you know what? I'm in of season 3. Joffrey's nowhere to be seen. I'm like, you know what? Let's go. They're going to fix this. Rob is getting ready to fix his relationship with Walter Frey. They're going to go down. He's going to go back and take the North. He's going to kill that idiot Theon. And then the Reigns of Castamere started.
Oh, my heart stopped.
Yeah, I was just like,
uh-oh.
Wait. Hold on. Hang on.
Yeah.
Wait.
And then,
I was heartbroken. And then what's even worse though is you could do this with that map that I was showing you. Go back and read the second book with this. And every single time it's an Arya chapter, see how close she is to how close she is to Rob.
To Rob.
Literally 10, 15 miles for like half the book.
Yeah.
And doesn't get there in time. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But what's funny is, with this, we're talking about like these big moments that this has nothing to do with. This show, there is almost zero connecting it to Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon beyond just the
lineage.
Lineage, exactly. You've got a bunch of descendants and a bunch of ancestors. But I mean, the Baratheons really, they play a very big part at the beginning of Game of Thrones, but they're nothing after that. After Robert dies, Stannis does stuff for 5 seasons, but that's it. There's no talk of the Storm Lords. There's no talk of Storm's End throughout the entire show. I think there's a conversation between Renly, and that's it. But we're about to see, this is going to be the first real look at Baratheons, because we get a little bit of them in House of the Dragon, but it's still such a small. It's like 10 minutes.
I mean, if you think about it, there's not a whole lot in Game of Thrones either with the Baratheons. I mean,
once Robert dies,
you have Gendry, who's
a bastard.
But I mean, it's Robert was of House Baratheon, and then he's off. I guess you could say Cersei, but she I don't want anything to do with that.
Oh yeah, no, she's a
Lannister.
She was not Baratheon. Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be really fun to kind of see more, and I'm hoping to get a little more lore of House Baratheon.
Yeah.
Now the really good news about this is, because we kind of had these same conversations prior to season 2 of House of the Dragon, and we all see how that turned out. But the really good news about this is, Ira Parker gave an interview. Now Ira Parker is the showrunner.
Yeah.
And he gave an interview, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago, about how he's making this show. And he said, I think the way most people make shows is you got to make it for one person. But a lot of people make shows for themselves. I'm not interested in making this show for myself. I want to make this show for George. And seeing as how George reacted to all the changes in House of Dragon season 2 to his story, that I feel like that's really good news.
Yeah. Yeah. Season 2 House of Dragon was a bit of a disappointment. Plus it ended prematurely.
Yeah.
It was kind of anticlimactic.
Well, nothing happened in this season. Everyone ended the season with the exception of Matt Smith. Daemon. With the exception of Daemon acquiring the army
Yeah.
And the dragon seeds, nothing happened. Everyone finishes the season exactly where they started it.
Right.
And
there was somewhat of a buildup, but I feel like they could have done better with the buildup, even if they were going to have to cut it short.
Yeah,
which strike or whatever the reason was.
Financial issues over at Warner, which of course we're all kind of now looking at and being like, oh,
yeah. So
this whole Paramount stuff is terrifying.
I know we're talking about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I'm excited for this complete side story. I'm hoping there's still some ties that we could just relate. Okay, this is what's getting ready to happen over at King's Landing, or whatever. But I have high expectations for House of the Dragon season 3. I mean, they need to bring it season 3.
I agree.
I'm talking first episode. There better be like this intensity with this battle.
You've read Fire and Blood, right?
Yes. I know what battle's coming.
Yeah, you know how that first episode should end.
I have high expectations.
That first episode should have Twitter going, "What the hell?"
Yeah, and it should be 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's not.
And I'll be holding my breath the whole time if they do it right. And then carry that through the entire season and end on a high note.
Look, they could fix all of the fan doubt. They absolutely could. There's enough there. Now, my big issue is there's a lot of stuff that they need to do this season. And they don't normally do. I mean, they probably need to do 5 battles this season. They don't. I mean, their max is usually about 2 a season.
Yeah, because of cost and everything.
Yeah,
Fire and Blood is intense.
Yep.
There's a lot going on with the Dance of the Dragons.
Mm-hmm. And it's, fingers are crossed that I don't even remember his name now. Ryan Condal actually decides to take his head out of his ass and do stuff correctly, make the story that George actually wants to be made. Yeah. But I have not seen George go to anything that Ryan Condal. George has been like in love with Ira Parker these past 6 months, which has been really good to see.
That's awesome.
Maybe that'll get him ready to actually write his book again.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that too, because I'm just wondering if he's going to go a different route than what the show did.
So I honestly, I think so. I think that's why it's not out yet.
He's got to, right? I mean, there was such disappointment, and I don't think, I don't know if that was his vision. I don't think it was. And what were their names? D and D.
Dan and Dave.
Yeah.
So I always like to share this one as well.
They kind of went their own direction and
5,209 or 14 years, 5 months, and 29 days. Tomorrow will be 14 and a half years.
Come on, George. Yeah. Let's go.
So I think what happened was, George told them 3 things, and Sundance is going to correct me. So he told them, hold the door. He told them, Bran becomes king, and then I forget what the third one was. It might have been confirming R and L plus or R plus L equals J. But he look at that. Look at X-Wing in the chat. You getting ready for this, man? Hunker down. It's going to be, you're also busy doing a whole bunch of other stuff. But this is going to be a wild 6 weeks with this show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So he tells them these 3 things, and I think that he got to see how fans reacted to Bran becoming king, and I think he decided to pivot. But the problem is that he'd already written 4 or 5 books, and there was so little time to change the direction that things were going.
Yeah,
that I think he had to throw out most of the book and restart.
Bran becoming king, I could have accepted it a little more if Bran didn't act like such a weirdo.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
Three-eyed raven.
Exactly. And I didn't like that. I didn't like what happened to John because Bran is supposed to realize that he just saved Westeros by taking out Dany, and by thanking him, he sends him to the wall.
Yeah, which is not needed anymore.
Right. So it seems like they just didn't know what to do. Like, oh, let's just do this and this and this.
Well, and that's a lot. There's a lot of truth to that, because one of the things that happened was, Dan and Dave, after season 5, went back to HBO and basically said, "Hey, we're only contracted to give you like another, 22 episodes.
Yeah.
This needs to go a little bit longer. We also want like another $100 million. Also, the cast is probably going to come back and want, between everyone, another, $200 million. So get ready to stroke those checks." And they were like, no, we're not doing that. And decided that
get what you pay for.
Yeah. And so that's when they decided to, do the regular season 6. Then season 7, I think, was 8 episodes, and season 6 was 6 episodes, or season 8 was 6 episodes. And you can absolutely tell, you go, I'm sure you did. You go back and watch the cast reads, and you can see everyone going, "The fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?" And then,
especially,
of course,
he was not.
Oh,
happy.
yeah. And of course, you go to some of the after episode things, and you've got Dan and Dave going, "Yeah, Danny just kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet." What do you mean Danny forgot about the Iron Fleet? So there's a whole lot of incompetence that went on there. I think George saw his story kind of become crap and decided to change a bunch of stuff. That's also why I think George decided to do Fire and Blood. I think there's stuff that George needed to create a foundation for, to pivot his story. So he had to give us new information without writing another book. Or without putting another book in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
I also think that's one of the reasons why he decided, because the prophecies thing is something that he worked with what's his face, Ryan Condal, to put in the story, put in season 1 of House of the Dragon. I think he wanted this to be, something that he can turn into a little more magic stuff in the book, because the books there's a lot more magic in the books than there are in the show.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of these theories, I don't know if you ever fell into like some of the fan theories in Game of Thrones, but my favorite one by far was that when the Night King arrives at Winterfell, the Starks of old will rise up to defend Winterfell. And that's why they're buried with swords, so that they can defend the keep from the army of the dead. Because Bran the Builder built Winterfell, he also built the wall.
Yeah.
So, and obviously when that didn't happen, I was really upset. What's up, Wick?
Hey, Wick.
What are y'all playing tonight?
I think we might sail.
Oh, doing some sailing.
So we might be calling out. We might be calling out for the crew.
Ooh. Well, let me know if there's room. I'm assuming X-Wing is free, and then I feel like I would assume Jay's probably free.
It's up to the boss. I have to lean
up to the boss.
She's the captain.
Yeah. You couldn't get a finer one.
She's the best.
But as we wrap up here, what are you looking forward to, kind of based off the trailer? A little bit of the story. Like, what's the big thing that you're wanting to see?
So I'm really interested in the Targaryens. I hope I get a feel for what's going on with the family, because I know like the dragons have all kind of gone. And so the Targaryen dynasty, I know the Mad King eventually takes on takes the throne, but that's not for many years down the road. But what is happening to the Targaryen family along this time frame? So I'm really interested in to see that part of it. And I know Egg is a good guy, but he's very young, right? He's a squire.
Absolutely.
He's like, I mean, how old do you think he is? Teenager?
No, he's 7, 8 years old.
Okay, very, very young.
Yeah.
So, so what is going on with the Targaryen family, and how is the kingdom? How's it going? You know, I guess is what I'm looking forward to seeing and learning about. And I know that Dunk was highly respected. At least I got that vibe.
Absolutely.
I got that
I
feel.
mean, we're talking about, you remember in the first season, just before Ned's arrested, he calls out to Barristan Selmy and he says, "There's no man here that could accuse you of being dishonorable."
Right.
Because he's trying to use the power of Barristan Selmy to legitimize his overthrow. Yeah, the letter. Yeah. And that was Dunk the Tall. Dunk the Tall was probably the greatest knight to ever live. You know, he's the real world example of him is, hang on, William Marshall. Old knight of England. He literally the greatest knight of all time. Served from lived from 1146 to 1219. He was a huge warrior to the Anglo-Norman warriors. Everything that Dunk the Tall is inspired by William Marshall.
Yeah,
and to the point that Dunk the Tall could have walked in into a kingdom or into a room many times and probably become the king. Like, that's how honorable and beloved he was.
So I'm interested in if this story is his journey to earning that respect, or does he already have it when we start?
Oh, no, he has to earn it. He's a hedge knight. So the first story is called The Hedge Knight. So he's a landless knight that really just kind of travels tournament to tournament, trying to own a couple of coppers and maybe join a retinue of some noble lord.
And essentially, this is less than 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones. So this is foundational to me. I want to see, and hopefully we learn a lot about, the foundation of all the conflicts, everything that's going to take place in the Game of Thrones. So those are the three areas that I'm looking forward to. And
so this I think is going to lay a lot of foundation for one of the two next stories to come out in TV format. And they've already kind of laid a foundation in season 2 of House of the Dragon, where we saw Brendan Rivers, the little the Targaryen with the bow at the tree.
Yeah.
So that's Brendan Rivers. You also, you might remember him from Game of Thrones. He's the old man in the tree.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's Brendan Rivers.
Okay.
So Brendan Rivers is a big figure during the first Blackfyre Rebellion. This takes place between, Sundowns, correct me if I'm wrong, between the second and third Blackfyre Rebellions. So this, I think, is going to lay a lot of foundation for the future of House Targaryen and its downfall, where I think this is going to do a lot to explain just where, kind of like you said, just where House Targaryen is at the time, where how they're doing. Because I'm looking at their family tree over here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 kings now. We're on our 4th Targaryen king, maybe even 5th or 6th. Actually, I think we're on our 7th. We're just 4th generation since the dragons died out. So, this really is telling of the power of that name, because that's all they have now. All they have is their name and the history of having dragons. But no one alive has seen a dragon.
Right.
We're 130, 70 or 80 years away. Thank you, Sundowners. We're between the first and second Blackfire Rebellion. We're 70 years removed from dragons. So most people alive have never seen a dragon. So this is going to be telling for how the Targaryens can survive. And we know they do survive. There's another 100 years before the Targaryens are overthrown. So it's going to be that's what I want.
This is what I'd like. You tell me if I'm way off, and then we can wrap it up. So I know that this is what going to be about 6 episodes or 7.
Yeah, 6.
6 episodes. They're short stories. They could turn into another season.
So they're working on season 2 right now.
Okay, so they already got the okay for a second season. They haven't even released the first one. So that tells you something that this is probably going to be pretty good. All right. So depending on how far they want to take this, it's all foundational to not just the events of Game of Thrones, but to Robert's Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that these short stories continue to build this foundation, and then they make a Robert's Rebellion motion picture 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
Let's see this thing play out. And Robert becomes king.
Yeah. So I've had this conversation with a couple people about, is there anything in Westeros that could be a movie? Because everything's been TV shows so far. Yeah. I've always said that for the most part, there's nothing that could be a movie because there's too much detail involved in them.
Yeah.
And for the same reason that, everyone always said you couldn't make Lord of the Rings. In Lord of the Rings movies we have aren't the full story of Lord of the Rings. There's a whole lot of stuff cut out of them. But Robert's Rebellion is probably the only one I would say that could be a movie. And we know that Andy Masterson, one of the writers for the Batman Part 2, is working on Aegon's Conquest. That is supposed to be, from my understanding, the next show to come out. They're apparently working on an animated thing for what's her name and her 10,000 ships. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really care about her. And then I think I forget what else they're working on. I think they're still working on something with the Golden Company, and then every 6 or 7 months they float another idea of continuing Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Sundowners in the chat loves the idea of continuing Game of Thrones. I think that's wrong. I think they should just redo it. And Sean's right that the problem with Robert's Rebellion is that Game of Thrones is the result. So you go in knowing the end. But I want to see it.
That's it. I want the visual representation of Robert's Rebellion. We've heard the stories, the Mad King screaming, burn them all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Jamie Lannister stabbing him in the back. You've got Robert swinging his
great warhammer
hammer.
Breaking Rhaegar's chest.
Rhaegar Targaryen and the rubies go blowing off the breastplate. All those kinds of details. I want to see that war.
Yeah.
You had Ned Stark out there with him, with Robert, and there's so many details that have been given through dialogue. I want to see it. I want to see it play out. Yeah. I know what happens. I know Robert, he becomes fat and he just, he's got 100 bastard kids.
Yeah.
He's banging everybody. I get it. But that battle where he takes the throne, where a Baratheon finally unseats a Targaryen after they've been sitting on that throne for generations, that would be something cool to watch. I would be interested in it. I think it'd be neat.
Yeah.
And they can write it in a way that it could stand on its own. Game of Thrones has been a while. There's people that haven't seen it. I
don't understand that.
They haven't seen it. So give me a movie with this great battle, and you get a new audience. Wow, this is a cool movie. This guy takes the throne. What happens next? Oh, watch the Game of Thrones series.
Yep.
Except for season 8.
Yeah,
Don't watch
except for season 8. Well, buddy, I know you've got to get ready for a gaming stream.
Yes, streaming tonight. Streaming and screaming with Wicked. And we try to do that every Monday night.
Going to be a lot of screaming over on the high seas.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to be here every Monday night, probably similar time, 7:30, 8:30, discussing the show, what happened, where we think it's going, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, Kings, thank you for inviting me to be a part of it. I love talking this stuff, man.
Yep. Well, y'all have a good night, and don't be a stranger.
And winter is coming.
Winter is coming.